Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins are rolling into 2025 not just with a new-look roster, but with a chip the size of Florida on their shoulder. After the 2024 season ended the way so many have for this team, flat, frustrating, and finger-pointing in every direction, the Dolphins knew they had to change the narrative. You could feel it. The fans are exhausted. Year after year, it's been the same story. Fast start, Tua gets banged up, defense fades, and the season fizzles into next year talk. But this offseason, there's a different tone. Less flash, more grit. Less talk, more trenches. For once, Miami's trying to build a football team that wins in December, not just September. And the front office, led by Chris Grier, might have finally realized that tough teams win when it matters. Whether it's too little, too late, that's the million-dollar question. Because Dolphins fans, they've heard this song before. Let's talk about the draft because that's where the Dolphins put their cards on the table. First-round pick Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. This dude is massive. 6'3", 342 pounds of pain. He's not just a nose tackle. He's a bouncer for the line of scrimmage. Put him next to Zach Sealer, who's criminally underrated, by the way, and you might actually have a defensive front that makes life miserable for AFC East running backs. That's the kind of move that says, we're done being soft. And in round 2, they grabbed Jonas Avainaya out of Arizona, a big, thick-bodied guard who can actually pass protect. If you watched Tua run for his life last year, you know this was long overdue. This guy isn't a project. He's plug and play. And Miami's offensive line? It was a disaster in 2024. Adding real size and strength in the middle gives this team a fighting chance to keep Tua upright. But let's not pretend everything was fixed in one weekend. Later in the draft, the Dolphins grabbed some big bodies. Jordan Phillips from Maryland and Zeke Biggers from Georgia Tech. But those guys are depth pieces, let's be honest. They're not walking into week 1 and changing the game. They might eat snaps. They might grow into something, but they're not the type of picks that scream instant impact. And that's fine if your starters are solid, but Miami's roster still has too many ifs. The trenches feel tougher, sure, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. The real red flag? The secondary. Because, man, the cornerback room right now? It's held together with duct tape and prayers. Jalen Ramsey's name is back in the trade rumor mill, and honestly, it makes sense. He's aging, expensive, and probably doesn't want to sit through another rebuild. So when the Dolphins used a 5th-round pick on Florida's Jason Marshall Jr. and grabbed Maryland safety Dante Trader Jr. later on, it felt more like patchwork than a plan. These guys aren't bad, but they're not going to fix a broken pass defense on their own. And Grier, he better land a veteran corner in free agency, or we're looking at a group that's ripe for getting torched all season long. This league doesn't forgive soft secondaries, especially not in the AFC, especially not when you're facing Josh Allen twice a year. If Grier doesn't shore that up fast, it won't matter how big Kenneth Grant is up front. The ball's going over everyone's head anyway, and then there's the quarterback situation. It's always about Tua, isn't it? When he's healthy, this offense can hum, but that's a big win. That hip, those concussions, it's all just waiting to reappear. So the Dolphins took Quinn Ewers in the 7th round. Interesting pick. He's got some tools, and he definitely had the hype once upon a time at Texas. But let's not kid ourselves. He's not the answer in 2025. He's a developmental flyer. And the backup, still Zach Wilson, which is not exactly comforting. Miami's quarterback room feels like it's always one hit away from chaos. Ewers gives them a long-term lottery ticket, but the immediate future still hangs by a thread. If Tua stays healthy, great, but nobody's betting the house on that. Offensively, the big names are still there, at least for now. Tyreek Hill, despite undergoing wrist surgeries, is still a game changer. Jaylen Waddle remains one of the most explosive receivers in football, but the whispers about a Tyreek trade won't go away. You start to wonder, is this the beginning of the end for that duo? In the backfield, Devon Achane and rookie Jalen Wright bring enough speed to make defensive coordinators lose sleep. And 6th-rounder Ollie Gordon II is a nice piece too. But did they really need another flashy back when the O-line and cornerback rooms are begging for reinforcements? It's classic Miami, obsessed with speed when maybe they should be obsessed with substance. And that points back to head coach Mike McDaniel. McDaniel is entering his third year, and the honeymoon is over. The vibes were great early on. He was funny, smart, creative, and yeah, the offense was electric. But then came the cold games, the big games, the playoff games. And suddenly, all that finesse football looked soft. This offseason, it's clear he's trying to flip the narrative, drafting tougher, running more, preaching physicality. But talk is cheap in this league. You either win in January or you're just entertainment. And if McDaniel doesn't get this team over the hump soon, that seat he's sitting in, it's going to get real hot real fast. Dolphins ownership has been patient, but they're not going to wait forever, especially not if Tua flames out again and the defense folds like it has. Now, let's talk about Chris Grier for a second. His draft history, it's shaky. Only 18% of his picks since 2020 have become starters. That's not great. You look at teams that build real contenders. They draft well year after year. Grier hasn't done that consistently, trading a 2025 fourth rounder for a 2026 third rounder was a nice move. Smart value play. But this roster needed more than 8 rookies. It needed a foundation. It needed answers. And Grier's only going to dodge criticism for so long. If this class flops, if the line doesn't improve, if the corners get lit up again, it'll be his head next on the chopping block. It's do or die time in Miami, and the front office knows it. So here we are. It's May, and the optimism is already cautious. If everything breaks right, Tua stays healthy, the offensive line gels, Kenneth Grant dominates, and the secondary gets a veteran boost, the Dolphins could sneak into the playoffs. Maybe even win a game. But let's be real. That's a lot of ifs. Too many ifs, honestly. And we've seen this story before. Miami looks good on paper. They flash early, and then when it really matters, they disappear. This team needs to prove they can punch someone in the mouth in December. That they can survive a snow game. That they can win ugly, not just pretty. Until then, it's just more hype and heartbreak. The truth is, Dolphins fans deserve better. They deserve more than just off-season highlight reels and training camp hype. They deserve a team that shows up in the fourth quarter, in the fourth month of the season. That doesn't fall apart when things get tough. That actually wins when it counts. Because right now, this franchise is living in that sad space between potential and disappointment. And 2025 is the year they either break that cycle or fall right back into it. One more empty season, and this whole operation from Grier to McDaniel to Tua could get blown up. So the question isn't whether the Dolphins are exciting. The question is, can they finally be good when it matters most? Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? It's a bomb that just exploded in the heart of Miami, and the ripple effects could shatter the Dolphins' locker room beyond repair. Jaylen Waddle, one of the most electric wide receivers in the NFL, has dropped a truth bomb that no one saw coming. He's done playing alongside Tyreek Hill. That's right. In an explosive interview that's already making waves across the league, Waddle made it crystal clear. As long as Tyreek is on his team, I'm not stepping on that field. Let that sink in. This isn't just a heated moment. This isn't frustration after a tough game. This is a line drawn in the sand, a split that threatens to implode the very foundation of one of the most exciting offenses in the NFL. And the worst part? There were signs, subtle tensions, awkward interviews, sideline glances, but no one truly thought it would come to this. Let's rewind for a second. Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were supposed to be the deadliest wide receiver duo in the NFL. Lightning and lightning, speed and speed, 2 blurs in aqua and orange, leaving defenders in the dust. When Hill was traded to Miami, fans and analysts drooled over the possibilities. Defenses would be stretched thin, and Tua Tagovailoa would have 2 of the best deep. Our threats in the game at his disposal, and for a while it worked. The numbers were there, big plays, highlight reels, fantasy points galore. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. And now, those cracks have turned into a chasm. According to insiders close to the team, the tension between Waddle and Hill wasn't just about ego. It was about leadership, trust, and respect, or the lack thereof. Sources say it all started last season. During team meetings and practices, Hill allegedly began taking on a louder role in the locker room, calling out players, questioning play calls, even challenging coaches. Some teammates respected it, Others, including Waddle, saw it as overstepping. Hill's intensity, while valuable on the field, reportedly started to rub people the wrong way off it. Waddle, who's known for being quiet and focused, felt overshadowed and undermined. It wasn't just about targets or touches. It was about being treated like a second option when he felt like an equal, a star in his own right. And let's be honest, he is. Waddle has been nothing short of spectacular since entering the league, and he's earned the right to speak up. The situation hit a boiling point this offseason. After a heated exchange during voluntary workouts, Waddle stormed out of the facility. At the time, it was chalked up to competitive energy, but now we know that was the beginning of the end. Multiple teammates confirmed the argument, revolved around Hill's attitude and approach to leadership. Waddle reportedly told coaches and team execs, "This ain't it. I'm not putting up with this for another year." And when those concerns weren't addressed to his liking, he made his decision. The fact that he went public with it now suggests he's done playing the political game. He wants out or he wants change. Either Hill goes or Waddle walks. There's no middle ground. This news couldn't come at a worse time for the Dolphins. Just weeks away from training camp, the front office is now facing a full-blown crisis. They've invested heavily in this offense. They believed in the Hill-Waddle partnership. They built a scheme around speed and space, and now it's falling apart before their eyes. The fans are already flooding social media with reactions. Some siding with Waddle, others with Hill, but most just in shock. The locker room? That's a different story. Players are reportedly divided. Some are backing Waddle, praising his professionalism and consistency. Others are loyal to Hill, citing his work ethic and playmaking ability. It's a locker room split right down the middle, and that's dangerous ground for any team hoping to make a playoff run. Coach Mike McDaniel now has the toughest job of his career. He's known for his creative play calling and laid-back style, but this situation demands more than X's and O's. This is about leadership, conflict resolution, and making a decision that could define his tenure in Miami. Does he try to mediate and bring both stars back into the fold, or does he pick a side and potentially trade one of them? No matter what choice he makes, there will be consequences. Trade Hill, and you lose one of the most explosive weapons in the game. Trade Waddle, and you risk alienating a homegrown talent who represents the future. Keep both, and risk losing the locker room entirely. And let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa for a second. He's the quarterback caught in the middle of this mess. His chemistry with both receivers has been a huge part of his development, and now he might have to choose sides, or worse, watch his offense crumble around him. Tua's already faced more than his fair share of adversity, from injury concerns to media doubt, and just when he seemed to be hitting his stride, the rug gets pulled out. You gotta wonder what this does to his confidence, his rhythm, and his trust in the guys around him. Quarterbacks need stability. Right now, Tua's world is anything but stable. The league is watching this situation closely. Other teams are already sniffing around, gauging what it would take to pry Waddle or Hill out of Miami. Don't be surprised if the phones start ringing off the hook in the Dolphins front office. Waddle, still on a rookie deal, is an incredibly attractive trade asset. Hill, despite his age, is still a game changer. Either one could shift the balance of power for a contender. But make no mistake, if either is traded, it will send shockwaves across the NFL. This isn't just about a star leaving town. It's about a team's identity being torn in two. A dream that started with so much promise now ending in division. And drama fans, of course, are heartbroken. This team felt different. It felt like the beginning of something special. The speed, the swag, the excitement, it was all there. And now it's all up in the air. Jerseys are being burned. Debates are raging online. Some blame the coaching staff for letting this fester. Others blame Hill for his ego. Some even criticize Waddle for not keeping it behind closed doors. But here's the truth. When players feel unheard, they speak out. Waddle didn't make this decision lightly. This was a last resort. A cry for change. And now that it's public, the Dolphins have no choice but to respond. Where does it go from here? That's the million-dollar question. Can this relationship be repaired? Or has the bridge been burned beyond recognition? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. The Dolphins are now at a crossroads. A team once brimming with potential is suddenly drowning in dysfunction. Jaylen Waddle's revelation isn't just a headline. It's a warning shot. The chemistry is broken. The unity is gone. And unless something drastic changes, the 2025 Miami Dolphins might be remembered not for what they achieved, but for what they lost. Are the Dolphins ready to choose? Because now they have to. Which side are you on? That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with our fellow Dolphins fan. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.